Welcome to Act 2 of Extra Time, everybody. I'm your host, Greg Lawless, alongside Shep Messing and Jason, the producer, who's now joining us. Act 2, separating the wheat from the chaff. Right about now is when teams start to distinguish themselves either positively or negatively. You're 2 months into the season, 1/3 of the way in terms of the schedule. In the East, 4 teams appear to be pulling away from the pack. Undefeated Chicago, of course, up top. DC United looking good, Toronto FC starting to look good, and Kansas City getting some results. These 4, do you think that they are really the cream of the crop in the East?
I actually think those are the right teams, but they have to be looking over the shoulder because Columbus and New England both have 2 fewer games, so there's some points there to be.
And Columbus is, of course, the defending champion. They can always come back, right?
Yeah, I think Columbus is definitely a team that people are going to be watching out for. I'm not sure I really believe that New England has what it takes to, it really depends. Does Taylor Twellman get back on the field? Makes them a different team. Right. I'm not sure you want to play the whole season with Shaw Reed-Joseph as your target forward.
What about Kansas City? Do you think they have it? They're that one that's sort of, for me, I think, waffling back and forth whether they're part of that group or not.
Well, they have a tough game in LA coming up this weekend, I'd say, without Hersig and Wolf. But that said, over the, once they're back, they get Crispin back in the mix. I think they have some pieces. They can definitely compete.
I think this Eastern Conference is going to be fiercely competitive. I really do. I think those are the right teams right now, but Red Bull has talent. Columbus has talent. New England, you can never underestimate Stevie Nichols, so it's going to be tight.
Well, that's true. Now, out west, it's a little bit different. Chivas USA has opened up an 8-point lead heading into Thursday's clash with Chicago, the other team that's in the top of their conference. That game was actually on ESPN2, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday. But if you look right behind them, Seattle and Houston are starting to catch up. I think they're sort of the second tier in the West. Behind them, you have Colorado and Real Salt Lake. Can either of those teams break into that upper echelon?
Well, I'm not going to pick either one of those teams, but I'm going to pick the Galaxy because I think the Galaxy, believe it or not, are really consistent. They have gotten themselves organized. They're unbeaten in 7 games. Goal scoring is still an issue, but I think Colorado's good. Salt Lake, I'm just not feeling very comfortable. But again, I think every team is going to be competitive chasing those playoff spots.
I don't know. When I look at Colorado, they definitely have a lot of pieces. I love the way that Cummings and Casey kind of play off each other up top. They were missing Terry Cook this weekend. He had a family issue, went back to England. But I mean, when you have those guys in the lineup, they definitely have some firepower. They definitely have the players to compete with anyone. And
can Seattle keep it up over the long haul, over the full season?
I would say yes. I mean, they're going to get Freddie Ljungberg back probably this weekend, it seems. I think, maybe it took them a little while for Montero and Ljungberg and Chayqua to kind of get the offense flowing, but I would venture to say that, over the course of the next 20 or so games that they have left in the season, they're going to get it, and they're going to keep scoring goals.
Well, obviously, Seattle's done well. They brought in some new players, and every year we get some new players that come in. And, there's been some rumors flying around already about some new players that might be joining MLS. And the biggest name, obviously, was Luis Figo. His name came out about a week ago as saying that perhaps the Portuguese international last with Inter Milan, either retiring or he might have some interest in coming to MLS. Any truth to this?
I think there are a lot of players, great players, that have an interest in Major League Soccer. But the economy has affected soccer globally. So do I think Figo's coming? No, I don't think he is. I know Materazzi, has nothing to do with
his teammate with Inter Milan, right? Marco Materazzi.
He'd like to come too.
The Matrix. He'd be a good personality, be a good guy to bring in.
I'd love to see them both.
What about Marcus Hahnemann? What are you hearing about that?
I doubt Hahnemann is coming back. It seems that he wants to play in England at least 1 or 2 more years. But, I mean, we get 2011, 2 more teams in the Northwest, and maybe he wants to come back and play near his home in Seattle.
You're always going to see player movement. I still think for Major League Soccer, the players you need to go after are that attacking midfielder and the striker. That's what the fans want to see.
And remember, I mean, people are talking about these big names and big name transfers. One of the all-time best signings in MLS was a guy from the 2nd division in Argentina named Christian Gomez. So, I mean, you don't necessarily have to go get that brightest star, out there from Europe. You just find
good stuff.
That's true.
Yeah, you just find the players.
You don't need a David Beckham necessarily to win everything. That's for sure. Well, that's it for Act 2, but on Thursday we'll be talking about the heavyweight showdown between Chivas USA and Chicago.